Hey guys, Dan here. Welcome again to that Paintball channel. For this episode, we're going to be continuing our series on paintball accuracy, and we'll be focusing on the topic of markers. Now, this is such a large issue that it's going to take us a couple of episodes to unpack, but it really deserves to be unpacked because it doesn't take any time in the forums or at your local field or in conversations with people before the question of accuracy in markers comes up. You know, newer players, maybe players who haven't been in it a long time, they're looking to upgrade, they'll get on, they'll post, question, hey, what is the most accurate marker? And you have so many threads devoted to this, this marker versus that marker, which one's more accurate? And of course, people weigh in page after page, giving their opinions about this one, that one, the other one. And then, of course, invariably, you have these wet blanket types who'll get on there and say, well, there's no real difference. They're all basically the same. So I figured that we would try to shine the light of truth on this and really settle the question once and for all because the question is a good one. It deserves to be answered. Now, I'm going to tell you up front, I'm going to take a big risk here. I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to tell you a dirty little insider industry secret. And I'm going to trust you guys not to share this because, if word of this gets out, it could generate a lot of heat for me personally because, industries are in it to make money, and the only way to make money is to sell product. And it's like the auto industry, different manufacturers will have different models and they will sell to try to sell to different markets in order to make money. It's the same thing in the paintball community. But what is understood by the industry is that despite the fact that there are just hundreds of markers out there, different styles, different platforms, different manufacturers, different models, it is known that of all the types that have ever come out, 7 are actually more accurate than any of the others. And they're all equally accurate, but they are all just at that next level, and it's a significant level above the other ones. But they don't want this to get out because, that would actually hurt sales. So what I'm going to tell you is what the 7 are. And I've got 6 of them here. Wasn't able to put hands on the 7th, but that's okay. And as we go through these, I'll talk a little bit about the features that make them the most accurate. And if you're sharp and you pay close attention, you'll pick up on a trend. All of these share something or a few things that are very fundamental in common, and that is what makes them significantly more accurate than any other marker. So here's the first one. You probably saw this one coming, AGD Automag. You knew this was going to be in the lineup. Now, what makes this really accurate is that this is an atypical blow forward spool valve marker. It's got that regulator and it runs at about 500 psi, and it's known that pressure is really the sweet spot for accuracy. It's not so high, that the paintball would be, hurried too much, and it's not so low because too low pressure and the paintball can't accelerate. Everybody knows that. And it's this single tube design, and as everyone knows, the single tube platform is the most accurate. Also, it's got this hinge trigger, and it is understood in the industry, despite all the different trigger types, the single trigger hinge style is the most accurate. It just is. All right, so next one up. Now this is a new entry in the paintball world. This is the Goggin. It's an upgraded mechanical version of the old Smart Parts Ion. And you'll notice, single tube design, spool valve. Notice it's got that hinge trigger, and what makes this the most accurate, in addition to all these, is that this runs at very, very low pressure. And Smart Parts back in the day, they explained, and they told the whole world that low pressure generates more accuracy, and it also gives you better range. And so it's really impressive because that low pressure is just really gentle on the ball, and it helps equalize forces as the ball leaves the barrel. And if you want that, just that extra edge, you're out there on the field with your single hinge trigger marker, that this is going to give you that edge. Really amazing stuff. Next one in line is the Planet Eclipse E-Tech 5. Now, what makes this really, really special is that this is, in fact, a stacked tube design. Now, as everyone knows, it's got 2 tubes, one on top of the other one, And as everyone knows, 2 tubes is better than 1. So basically, the ball's sitting there. It's like, hey, I'm a paintball. And then the 2 tubes are like, hey, paintball, don't make us bust you up. And the paintball's like, hey, guys, hey, I don't want any trouble. And the 2 tubes like, hey, don't make us bust you up, because if we bust you up, then, like, we need a squeegee, and nobody wants that. So don't make us bust you up. And the paintball's like, all right, what are your demands? Okay. And, the stack tube design really goes a long way to improving your accuracy. Also, this one is a poppet valve, and as everyone knows, a poppet is the most accurate style because it really cuts the air on and off sharply, and that translates to better downrange accuracy because that initial burst of air allows the forces to be equalized in a little bit better way, and it also grants a little bit better efficiency, and that in itself really goes a long way toward accuracy. Also, what makes this one most accurate is that it's electronic. And as everyone knows, circuit boards and batteries make paintballs more accurate. True fact. And this trigger, because it's a double trigger, everyone knows that double triggers are more accurate than anything else. So as you're out there on the field, just playing, this is the proper way to shoot. Make sure your finger's all the way in there. If you can get your whole hand in there, honestly, that's going to give you that accuracy. And just flick your fingers, it's great. So you'll know that you've got every advantage running this platform. The most accurate, absolutely true fact. Next one up is the Planet Eclipse GMAC. You guys knew that I was going to get one. And you'll notice again, it's got that single tube design that we talked about. Remember, spool valve. Everyone knows spools are more efficient and they're more accurate, way more accurate. This runs at very low pressure, and remember that low pressure is what gives the advantage. Also, this is that single trigger design that we talked about. Single triggers are the most accurate ever, and it's mechanical because mechanicals are more accurate naturally. And what makes this one different is that this has a slide trigger. Now, it's not well known, but of course in the industry it's known that the slide trigger is the most accurate platform. So when you're out there, and you're pulling that trigger, it's a slide trigger, you have every advantage. Nobody is going to be able to top that. There's nothing that's more accurate than that. All right, next one in line is this. This is an Inception Designs Mini Fighter Autococker. Oh yes, so nice. And what makes this the most accurate is that it is also a stack tube. Remember, stack tubes are more accurate than any other platform. This is also a poppet valve. And you'll notice that this has that single slide trigger that we talked about. That's the most accurate. But what makes this really accurate is that this is a closed bolt design. Now, it's not well known. Probably nobody's ever heard this before, but I'm going to let you in on a little secret, and that is that closed bolt operation is the most accurate. Because what happens is that the bolt goes forward and then it fires the paintball, all right, and then it comes back, which is totally different from an open bolt design, which pushes the ball forward and then it fires the paintball and then it comes back. You see what I'm talking about? See, so the closed bolt, it pushes the ball forward and then it fires the ball and then it goes back, whereas the open bolt design pushes the ball forward and fires it and then. Anyway, it's way too complicated for most of you, okay? It involves like chemicals and alloys and space age polymers from the future. Just trust me, okay? More accurate. Everybody knows this. Also, the main thing that makes this accurate is this back block here. What's not known, remember this is physics, guys. Everything that we're talking about is straight up science, okay? Fact, true fact. What's not well known, and this is so brilliant that the people who designed this back block weighs exactly 10 times as much as a paintball. But, check this out. When you pull the trigger, it moves back, huh? And you'd think, ooh, that would cause some kind of like rocking effect, maybe some vibration or something like that. Because the paintball, remember, 1/10 the weight of this. The paintball is traveling 10 times, exactly 10 times the speed that this is. So, equal and opposite forces. They completely counter one another. So that if you're just going to town, shooting away on this, you could hang this from a spider web and pull the trigger. This thing would be dead still, no movement. It would just float. In fact, you probably don't even need a spider web. It will just hang in the air because all the forces involved will counteract one another. Wow, true fact, true fact. And finally, at least in terms of the ones that we've got here, Actually, I'll do the one that we don't have, and that is the Phantom Pump. Now, as everyone knows, the pump, is different because it's, you think about it, one ball, one kill, and that's sort of like snipers or something like that. And everyone knows snipers are the most accurate people. So having a pump means you're going to be more accurate. I mean, if you see the guy on the field and he's got a pump, I'd say just don't even play that game, because that guy's going to get you out. Because as everyone knows, a pump, because it's got that pump action, that's going to give you that accuracy, because it's straight up sniper. True fact. Now, last one, we've got this one here, and that is the Tippmann 98 Custom. Now, what makes this most accurate is that, see, it's got that offset feed, and you've got the sight. You can sight. That gives you a little bit of extra accuracy. Also, this bolt, you pull that back, and just, just this, that's great. And this thing is a blowback. And what makes this better and more accurate than any other platform is, remember, real firearms are blowback. And real firearms are more accurate than paintball markers. So the fact that this is a blowback means that it has that built-in real firearm accuracy, and that is what makes this the most accurate marker ever. Now, in addition to these 7, there are a couple of other markers that are equally accurate. Now, I didn't want to tell you that because this is the super duper secret. And if you've made it this far, you're in, and I'm here for you, and so this is going to be just for you. So nobody, I mean, this is top secret, like pinky swear, we don't tell anybody about this. And that is that every other marker that's ever been made is also the most accurate ever.
We told you not to watch.
Now, hopefully by this time you've realized a little bit of humor, a little tongue-in-cheek, a little sarcasm. And, some of the arguments that I've given here are spoofs, but some of them, unfortunately, are actually real. And, the sport has enough tradition of people making these absurd arguments for why this or that marker is more accurate. So, let it be known that no marker is inherently more or less accurate than any other platform. I mean, despite the fact that this has been demonstrated time and time again, definitely the smart parts thing back in the day, talking about low pressure, in addition to the fact that that has been demonstrably debunked. It just takes a moment to just think it through. Think about it for a minute. The paintball is what's accurate or not accurate. Does it make any sense that the platform that fires that paintball is going to make any kind of impact on the paintball? Does the paintball care that it's being shot by a blowback versus a blow forward? Does it care that, this is an open bolt versus a closed bolt configuration? Does it care that it's high or low pressure? Because ultimately what's hitting the ball is still going to be gas that has to expand and get the ball out of the barrel, all at the same velocity. We're assuming that these markers are all clean, that you don't have a dirty barrel or anything like that. But it's strange to me that people don't just take a minute and think about, okay, does it make sense to say that one platform would be inherently more or less accurate than another? Who cares if the impulse is generated by a spool versus a poppet valve? Who cares if it's a single or stack tube or even a triple stack? Who cares what kind of trigger it is? Now, as we'll see in the next episode, there are some elements from marker to marker that might make those markers more or less accurate for a particular player. But as we'll see, there is a rationality, there's a logic behind it that makes sense. And I think, too, as we'll see in the next episode, there is definitely a reason why people tend to view some markers as more or less accurate than others, even though they're not, and objectively so, they're not. So hopefully this was useful and, perhaps even entertaining. I've found it to be a bit humorous. Try to keep a straight face the whole time there. So next time, as I said, we'll look at some of the reasons why people have tended to think of different markers as being objectively more or less accurate, and some of the maybe psychological and physiological reasons why some markers might work better for some people. So, I hope this was helpful again. Looking forward to the next episode. Hope you are as well. As always, come on back, bring a friend.